explore what that product is and what is the best way that we can plan it and build it and operate it. So our goal is to create a framework. These calls, we're gathering individuals that have been working on this, are passionate about this topic, maybe are just curious about this topic. And we're going to be leading some questions through a Miro board. We'll share a link to that in a second. It's like a digital whiteboard where we can all interact and share our ideas. All right, are we going to record? We're going to start recording this call in a second. And so the activities will be to pick everyone's brain. Nuba is cloud, so I can't record to my computer.
Okay.
Maybe you can? Hold on one second. We're trying to figure out our recording.
I can record it for you.
Okay, great.
Avoid
Yeah,
it.
we're
We have some recording settings that we want to try.
yeah, we have some recording settings that we're trying to try from our side. Mhm. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so welcome, guys. Happy Saturday. Nice to see you all here. Brian, welcome. Giuseppe, welcome. Manuel is a first time joiner on the call. I believe Eric invited him. What's up, Eric? Yeah, Manuel's from the Venus Project as well. So that's cool. Has a context of this whole mission. Nice to see you, Thomas. Hey, Cam. Sonia and I are here. Well, welcome, you guys. Happy Saturday. It's 3:03. We're going to give it 2 more minutes, and then we're going to kick off. We're testing some of the recording options on ours so that
Yeah. Okay, nice.
Das Kaffee laut auf der Call.
Okay, beautiful. I'm starting the recording right now. I think Oscar.
was doing a joining call.
Yeah. Yeah, give us 1 minute, please.
Can we talk on there?
Mhm.
I'm taking you guys. I'm not on the call anymore.
I'm gonna drop the link to the Miro board for the ones of you that are joining for the first time. This is a board that we've been working on for the last couple of weeks, and it's an interactive, collaborative environment where we're all going through different prompts, questions, and thoughts together, so we can see each other working in there. Let me drop the link in there. You don't have to have a Miro account to join. You can just be a visitor. Okay, I'm dropping the link.
Being recorded.
Nice. Okay, I'm muting my.
Okay, is my microphone on? You have to mute your thing. Okay, hey, you guys. All right, so we are recording. Yes, okay, I'm in here.
Yeah, you have the link.
6 people are waiting to be admitted. Great. Hello, everyone. There, we're letting in our last bout of participants. Welcome. One more. Vitali's in there. Accepting recording. Welcome, everyone. Happy Saturday, and welcome again to our Regenerative Neighborhood Framework calls. This week, we are going to be exploring hardware is the word, and this refers to the built environment. Everything that us as humans need to create around us to thrive as individuals, as a collective, and most importantly, in alignment with our beautiful planet and nature that we count on every day to survive and live. All right, so everyone's in. Sonia has shared a link to the Miro board that we'll be working on. Cool. Welcome, Kevin, joining from Vancouver. All right, so let me get on the Miro board real quick. I'm going to share my screen. Boom. Chrome tab. I'm going to be sharing my screen for anyone that is not on the call right now. And we'll be watching this recording so they can follow along with the activities. I invite you all to open the Miro board. Okay, we got another 2 joining the call. Justin's here. Vitali's struggling to get in, it seems. Weird. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Chrome tab, there it is. Share. All right, you guys. So as we shared, this is call 5. I'm going to do a little intro. I realized from last call, we kind of dove right in because we have a lot of familiar faces. And most of you have heard this intro, but for the new participants or for anyone that doesn't have it crystal clear what we're doing here, this is the Regenerative Neighborhood Framework Design Lab. We are co-designing an open source framework. This framework is a guide that defines a purpose, metrics of success, and a process on how we apply this framework to create a regenerative neighborhood. A regenerative neighborhood, one more time, the definition being a real estate project, a place where people live, that has resilient systems for water, food, energy, waste, air, housing, and most importantly, human systems, how we interact with each other, how we interact with the environment to thrive as individuals and as a collective. So this is call 5, like we said. Over the last few weeks, you can see the agenda here, and we have transcripts for the recording. If you guys are on the Miro board, I'm going to bring you guys over to me so we can all be in the same spot. Boom. Yeah, I invite you guys all to jump on the Miro board. Make sure you're in there. For everyone watching the video, you can see the previous calls here and the transcripts of the previous calls here. We started with some intro calls and defining what a framework is. And the last 2 weeks, we've been working on ecology, the natural environment, and everything that we could to discuss how it's important, how we take it into account, and how we bring it into the key position for designing a neighborhood. This week, we're going to be talking about hardware. Here's a little definition, how we've described hardware. All right, so hardware is built infrastructure. Everything that is engineered, like biomimetic architecture, resilient water, food, energy, waste, and transport systems that enable self-sufficient, adaptive, and physical environments. All right. So welcome you guys. Calls, just to lay them out clearly, is to connect with the community through these calls and experiences. We are going to be doing some breakout rooms in a minute, so all of you can check in with each other, spend a little bit of moments discussing what you're excited about and what motivates you to be here. The tangible piece of this is to create resources and tools using the community's input. We will be gathering questions from all of you, resources from all of you, and just general thoughts on the journey to create a future society, a regenerative society, ideally. We will, with all of this data, on Thursdays, we're hosting a second call where we work with all of this data in this Miro board and in a resource gallery that I'll do a tour of in a second, in order to create a smart documentation that with the use of an AI LLM, we can ask it questions. And hopefully the best result would be that it serves as a somewhat consultant for anyone interested in creating a regenerative neighborhood. They can ask it questions, give it some of the user's desires, and the LLM, using this database of resources and content that we're gathering, will provide answers and help people design their ideal communities that are good for the individual, good for the collective, and good for the planet. In the long run, the plan is to use this framework to make a tangible blueprint, a plan for a physical land project, starting with the first one, and ideally building and planning and building multiple locations around the world. We were talking on the call recently about how in the best case scenario, we have a series of land projects that get designed, planned, funded, and built using this repository of data, while feeding back to that repository and improving its likelihood of designing the best possible community for all of us. All right. So on the last session, we did ecology, and what we'll do today is hardware. We're going to discuss the importance of some of these categories. We're going to test a bit of a different format this week. We realized that this first call is a theoretical call. where we'll do a little more visualizing and story sharing between the users. We'll have some questions to guide that as we go through. We're also going to leave spaces for each of the subcategories, which you can see here. I'm just going to give you a sneak peek. These are the subcategories that we've predefined for hardware based on research and best practices we found. And we've created space on the board for each of you to share specific questions that you have about these subtopics, anything that comes to mind. What we've learned with the first run of our LLM analysis is that we can feed it a bunch of data very quickly and have a very clear summary of that data that is functional for us to integrate a lot of the resources and data that can answer specific questions. So now it becomes a question of gathering the most functional questions. We're going to have space for that later.
Make sure we let everybody in.
Yes.
For the latecomers.
Let me check if I've let everybody in. Yeah, thank you for the reminder. Yep, seems like everyone's in right now. Okay, so thank you for the check-in on that. Okay, you guys. So first, we're going to kick off with a little meet and greet. I'm going to set this timer for 5 minutes. I would love you guys to, I'm going to create some breakout groups. Let me see how many people are on the call right now. It seems like including or not including bots, we have about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe like 9, 10 people. Okay, cool. 12, sweet. Okay, so Giuseppe, you have to go. That's okay. The recording will be available for you. So I'm going to create these breakout groups. Here we go. Chat. No, not here. Participants. Here it is. Okay. Let's do 4 breakout groups. I think that'll be great. All right, you guys, I'm going to break you into breakout groups. If anyone is in a room with just bots, hold on, we have one more person joining. If anyone's in a group with just bots, feel free to jump out and jump into another group. Should be pretty good. I'll see you guys in the groups. So questions that you guys can share with each other is, what led you to this call? What are you excited about today? Have you lived in a community before, and where are you? All right, I'm going to kick off this timer, and I'm going to set off the breakout groups. That music is super annoying. Okay, how is everyone? Is everyone in breakout groups now?
No.
No, it never popped up.
Oh,
There we go. There it is. Now it is.
I don't think my background is working. I think it's put me upside down.
Hey, what's up, Eric? What's up, Thomas? So good to have you both.
You guys, I'm upside down today.
You gotta. Oh, there we go. Oh, now you. Oh, there, yeah.
Hold on. You guys figure it? Yeah, I got you. Thomas and Kevin, how you guys doing?
Doing good. I mean, this is an interesting situation because we all certainly are familiar with each other, I think. But if we could do the fast round if you want.
Yeah.
I'll leap out there. You know, you guys, I'm Kevin Howard and stuff like that. I come in from Vancouver, Washington. I've never had the pleasure of living in a regenerative community, though I try to make community wherever I live. I mean, that's what this is all about, human connection. And what excites me about today, man, is the infrastructure for these communities, these regenerative communities that we're trying to create, are I'm a systems analyst type person in terms of thinker, and so I find them essential beyond the human element. I find them essential to the functionality of these communities that we're going to create. So that's what interests me about being here.
Yeah, I'm Thomas from Strasbourg, France.
Yes.
And we have a small community in Mongolia, and we're thinking about starting one in Southern America. Certainly a heavily self-sufficient and survivalist community. That's our focus. And with trying out the potentialism ideas, so how to level up our capitalism, to set the right incentives. And I'm here today to hear about the hardware. There's some interesting ways how to survive. So say in Mongolia and other lowly inhabited areas, it's possible to survive with by herding animals, like goats, sheep, cattle, and so on. In more densely populated areas, one depends on agriculture, I think. And then it's interesting how to do agriculture without diesel, and without fuel. What to do with electricity, just solar cells and wind is probably too difficult, and probably needs water power. So the hardware, there's possibly interesting solutions. That's why I'm here today.
I wanted to say I'm really inspired by your help with keeping the recordings and keeping things ledgered. Really appreciate it, Thomas. And Kevin, it was really cool to check out your podcast. It was a cool perspective to see. So,
Thank you.
but I'm here just learning, and I do have a bunch of different things that I gathered, little gems and jewels that I found over the course of time, and hopefully you'll have some input. And also in Mongolia and South America, you'd be able to see a pretty large swath of weather pattern and nutrients dispersal. So
Yeah.
considering the sands from that area. But no, it's really exciting to be here with you guys and coming up with different ideas and keeping that kitchen going and hopefully making something to eat.
No doubt. Hey, Eric, do you have any first thoughts on hardware that would be most applicable? Anything that comes to
Well,
mind?
first thing, I shared on the LinkedIn earlier that what is that? Open source ecology. And it has a like kit to build a small village or community. And I thought that was a very valuable thing. And then also it came to mind is some biophilic design by Nexi Oxman. I think Neri Oxman. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her name, but she works a lot with castings of seashells and crustaceans, and using that. Forgetting the chitlin from the any kind of crustacean, and I would like to share that. I mean, it would be nice to actually share a little dissertation, because I'm thinking like in the well, like the sticky notes, like if I put a YouTube link, it's not putting the whole depth of the communication of what that YouTube link is showing. It's just opening up a doorway for other people to walk through and watch. So that like it's almost like a fungi network where you find this source of nutrition, like food for thought, and then you like open more people to that access that would be interested in consuming that. It's a part of the attention economy, and I think the attention economy is so important, and how we invest that time is a part of how we operate in our mutual networks or families or communities or whatever have you. So it's just cool to hear about both your works, and yeah. Hardware wise, I should share those links with you, and I'll share them in the
Oh, no, that's great, Eric. Thank you. Thomas, any initial thoughts?
No, nothing special.
In the communities that you are familiar with, Thomas, to what extent do they make use of hardware? Or
Yeah,
let's say modern infrastructure?
that's so in Mongolia, it's really just herding with the tribal structures and what they classically use, because that's possible. And otherwise, I consider checking South America, and for that I would need to find appropriate hardware. So the challenge is how to do agriculture without diesel. So then when with oxen or horses possibly, or to create biodiesel oneself, and then have that hardware. But then one needs also a tractor that can, maybe an older tractor that can burn just 100% biodiesel. It's self-created. Modern tractors cannot burn that. So it must all fit. That's a challenge. Yeah, has anybody solved that well? I'm not sure. And then there's some.
I've been looking into the idea of using terpene profiles to thin out vegetable oils to burn different rates through a diesel, because you can use the glorified air pump of a diesel to burn vegetable oil, and you just have to worry about the viscosity. So usually they change that with the heat of the fuel. They heat the fuel so it reaches a closer viscosity, and they also change the spray pattern in the injections. But there's some issues that come along with it, and but there's some benefits. There's lubrication benefits and no sulfur release. But I was thinking about using terpenes to keep the oil thinner. And if you can grow your own fuel, you can get like a homeostatic balance with nature. So that's like something that's inspired me for many years, just to get off the fossil fuel economy.
Yeah.
A lot of that nitrogen we've produced we can use, but we just need to be really, really smart on how we make our decisions. So getting that territory mapped out, this is one of those examples. I'm sure someone down the road that's compiled all of our ideas is working towards the same thing. So
Yeah. Understood. That's great. No, that's good. So we need to grow our own fuel. We got to figure out a way to, to be more regenerative with our fuel.
and if you do that and you put limits to growth and you like conserve over a course of cycles of season, you should be able to get an exponential wave if you can manage it right. And if you're working in old growth systems and you're really trying to output specific terpene profile plants over a long course.
How is that little bit of intro time? I'm like intentionally leaving a little more time for connection. I've been realizing that this is a big piece, thanks to the feedback from one of the calls we had recently with Vic and Kevin and some others, on how the fact is we're designing spaces to hold what the actual product is. It's actually community. It's human connection. And what we're doing here on these calls of meeting each other, sharing goals with each other, and working towards a common thread together. All right, you guys. So I'm going to jump back onto the Miro board. Does everyone have the link for the Miro board? It's on the chat. Sonia shared it a minute ago. I'm going to drop it one more time for any new members that are here. I'm going to go to the Miro board and I'm going to share my screen for the recording. I invite you guys all to jump onto the Miro board. I'm going to do the thing where I pull everyone over to my screen so you can see it. All right. So I'm going to do the tour after. So today we're exploring hardware. Let me bring everyone here. Bring everyone to me. All right. Welcome, you guys. Hardware. Again, hardware is the built infrastructure. Everything we need to thrive as humans, from housing solutions to water, food, energy, air, and waste systems. We've added in here master planning. That's going to be one of the first little pieces that we'll dive into after we do our creative exploratory session, and also manufacturing and transportation. All right. So does anyone have any questions to kick off? Maybe to clarify why we're here. I didn't make space for that on a previous call, so I'm trying to iterate and learn about that. Does anyone have any questions? Any new members? Theodora, I see that you're new. Haven't seen your face before.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome.
Good to be here.
Yes. And Manuel, do you guys have any questions?
Yes.
Everyone else has been on a lot of the other calls. We're getting some, frequent flyer miles here from everyone, which is wonderful. Do you have any clarifying thing you'd like to ask before we dive in?
No.
Okay. Theodora, you okay? All right.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're going to kick off with this visualization session, inspired by Camera. I'm going to give a couple minutes. I'm going to do 3 minutes here. to explore this thought of you wave a magic wand, and what does your physical environment that you live in look like? Feel free to share a string of words, a little story, grab one of these little sticky notes right here, drag it down, and just go in and describe for the next 3 minutes. This is all data that we're going to be feeding to an LLM to create a kind of like dream board in a way. So put yourself in this position, dream space, magic wand, 3 minutes. I'm going to pick a cosmic vibe beat and go ahead, you guys. Start adding your card. Right. All right. All right. Would anyone like to share a few keywords about this visualization that they had?
Sure, Oscar, I'll leap in there. Yeah, so what I wrote in my little sticky note was that the community would have joined some sort of water source, a stream, a river, a lake, or an ocean, whatever, would involve some forestry, for the biodiversity and the benefit and the ability to mushrooms and all types of things, natural sources of food, would have fields for regenerative farming, what have you. Would have space for some herd animals, for protein balance and that, but we would incorporate the algae in the feed to reduce the methane, and stuff like that. Again, balance in all things. A co-living housing arrangement, single story housing arrangement, low population density. We got a big planet. We can spread out a little bit, right? So that you can really have community. So that's kind of what I envision.
Okay, nice, nice. Okay, anyone else? Something they're really excited about, that this magical place that maybe you haven't seen or maybe you have seen, something that really stands out to you?
The idea of the architecture looking like the geography of the space. Like your architecture matches your natural geography.
Can you give me an example of jungle? You live in tree houses, or like if you're like near a mountain, you're in a geoship, or what?
That
Or
yeah,
like,
that could be yeah. Like I guess the classic Floyd Wright house, you know, but they
okay,
design it with the contours of the.
sure, okay, I got it. Okay, nice. Yeah, interesting. You know, in contrast to what you just said, Kevin, I enjoy a little bit more density. You know, I enjoy like mixed use, like at least one downtown-ish or like, you know, Main Street kind of street where it's like shops downstairs, apartments upstairs, and like you walk down to like a little bit of that sense of hustle and bustle, you know, not so much, but enough that it like engages my, you know, active brain. So yeah, very cool. Yeah. And then outside of that, I see definitely houses. Right, we're going to dive into this infrastructure question a lot more today. So I'm going to share my screen again for all the participants that will be watching the recording. All right, cool. And so this was an experiment now in more long-wind answers. We realized that we can extract this data in a vector format and pass it to an LLM. Dr. Brian did an awesome iteration of that using Claude and Abacus, I believe, where he took the PDF of this all of these boards, which we're going to organize a little more, and got an awesome summary from it. So I'm like motivated now to do more long-winded answers like this. We'll be testing that a little more moving forward. Okay, so with all of these things that we just described in mind, I'd like you guys to put on your one step up thought of like, what are some values that you feel describe or encompass the things that you just described? The goal here is that from these values, we will derive some principles that will guide our decision-making journey of the rest of the experience here, which will be exploring each of these topics, which is master planning, which we'll do some like shared activities on, housing solutions, which we'll discuss a little bit more. And then for the other ones, you know, they're pretty specific already. Water systems, food systems, energy systems. We'll have space for questions for each of these. Next one here. That will open up the table for everyone to share questions that they have for each one of these topics later on. But we're going to start with values that we have as individuals that guide us, right? These are the core beliefs or ideals that represent what is fundamentally important to us. They serve as the why behind our decisions. At some point, we're going to have to decide, do we want to use this kind of water system or this kind of water system? And our goal is that with our values and our principles a little better outlined, we'll be able to make that decision much easier. So I'm going to leave here 4 minutes. I'd love for you guys, right? Again, no wrong or right answers. I'd love for you guys to grab a sticky from here and go ahead and share some of the values you have. If you can right away match them to some principles, I invite you to do that. We'll have a few minutes for that activity as well. So I'm going to run this timer. It's going to be 4 minutes. Going, there's some light music playing. Go ahead and start sharing some of your values. One example Sonia put earlier was regeneration. And then that value mapped to the principle of choosing systems that restore the ecosystem. Someone's clicked on the big window. If you can click off that big window, then there you go. Thank you. All right, you guys, I stopped the music a little bit early because I realized I made way too long on that one. Next one's only going to be 3 minutes. Okay, so now I'm reading through here. Regeneration, positive impact, humanity, resilience, all sentient beings are equal, honoring ancient wisdoms and new ideas, kindness, consent, zero marginal cost, feedback loops. All right, so now the activity is going to be to map values over to principles. Can anyone give a good example of how a value maps over to a principle? Someone that won already and already has a good idea of how that maps. You want to explain yours?
Yeah, I'm happy to share.
Go ahead.
So Oscar already explained the regeneration. Maybe I'm going to put another one. I'm putting prioritize planetary health over cost efficiency. So there will be decisions that we will be making. There's going to be two, let's say, energy systems, and one will be cheaper, but the other one will be better for the planet. I would prioritize the one that is better for the planet, even though the cost is higher. So in general, I think it's a good exercise to go through because the lens is more on priorities. What do we prioritize over another thing in order to actually make decisions aligned with our values? I would love to hear somebody else explaining. It seems a little bit ephemeral. I see that not a lot of people put actual principles. We're going to be defining that much more. In 2 weeks, we're going to be studying the human systems, and we're going to be diving a little bit more into our individual and collective culture. And that's going to be reflected in the purpose and values and then principles that we have as a collective. That's also going to guide the design principles for the build infrastructure and technology and such.
All right. So as one example here, I saw someone put resilience. For me, that translates into a principle of choosing systems that are not affected by climate change. Does anyone else have an example that they would like to describe how their value aligns with a principle?
I think the value of abundance enables people to be generous, which means that we want to have the hardware available that provides abundant more than we need, that enables us to be generous to others who come and visit to the community.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right. So with that in mind, we would design a food system that is going to overproduce comparing to the amount of citizens that we have within the community so that we can share with the local community.
Yes. If we build a solar system that works on the cloudiest day of the year for keeping our houses going, then on the sunny days, we have an overabundance of energy. And the problem becomes, how do we effectively utilize all the abundant energy that occurs on sunny days?
Nice.
Oscar, I would say in terms of a value, and maybe this is where it kind of goes into the gray line of a principle, but the idea that each of us have an equal claim on the resources that sustains all of us. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to use the same amount of resource. It means that none of us have a greater claim on those resources. The world in which we live in, there are many people who have a much greater claim on the resources, leaving most of us without enough resources. So for this ideal community, this notion that we each have an equal claim on the resources that sustains all of us, right? And maybe that lends itself to. So is that more of a value or a principle, for example?
I would say maybe the value is like non-hierarchy, maybe in like a word, and then the principle.
Equality would be a value, and then it's reflected in the principle that the resources are distributed.
That everyone has access to them. Doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, you may have constructive use to use more resource than I do. That's okay. In other words, we make a meal for the family. Everyone is not eating the same number of peas, but everyone eats what they're going to eat. Right? That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So we're not talking the quality of the use of resource. We're just talking about the fact that you should be able to have access to the resource you need to reach and maintain your full potential. Right. no
Sure.
more, no less. No hoarding, no, which then lends itself to the idea that we need a different relationship with resource. And it's been
Right.
talked about here that we
Mhm.
need a stewardship relationship with resource and not an ownership relationship with resource, because the ownership relationship with resource as we live in basically allows people to do with the resource what they want, which is to hoard it, which is to waste it, which is to be, to have it sit there and rot while people are starving. Right. No,
Right,
in
right.
in our community, we don't want any of that.
Yeah, and I love how that goes hand in hand with like abundance. If we have abundance, then there's enough resources for everyone to get what they need, and even more than that. And then also, I love someone in here put maximum extraction with minimum disturbance. For as a principle to that one, who put that one? Maximum extraction with minimum disturbance. It's a good one. Who wants
Oh,
to
I
claim
did.
that?
I did.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that. It's like, oh, what if we had to actually like harvest gold by the amount of gold that's produced from the streams and waterways? Like what would be the distribution and like that, like just those crazy kind of ideas though. What would be the kind of ratio you'd need to achieve from the scale of what's naturally given to us and what we consume?
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably not a fun picture a lot of the times, but if we can find a way to make a new resource, if
Sure.
we can find something that's more valuable in material science as gold, then that would be a big boon to
Mhm.
life, as long as it's not creating
Sure. Yeah.
outputs that are really destructive. So,
I put as like the lowest barrier of entry for that is just like create very efficient systems. I'm like still on this idea of the food and the peas. Even if we create so much that all of us can't eat it with good systems, we can store some of that food, freeze some of that food, and in the worst case, compost that food to feed the garden again or feed the animals, and all the
yeah,
layers.
yes, that's so important.
And to
It's
have that all planned out effectively to prepare for the abundance of resources so we can move in that way.
Can I
Does
yeah,
push
anyone want to
back on
share
that?
anything?
Hey, Oscar, can I push back on this notion of extracting surplus and stuff
Yeah.
like that? Because I don't see sustaining systems work that way. So the super
Mhm.
predator in a sustaining ecology, let's say the lion, right?
Yeah.
They're not stacking multiple gazelle in the back of the cave for later, right? They kill when they're hungry to eat. They
Mhm.
kill a gazelle, and therefore the gazelle is always outnumbering the prey, always outnumbers the predators because the predators don't overeat. They just eat what they need, right?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And so the idea, I mean, I'm not saying no surplus, right? But we need to be really mindful, and we need to approach it in a very biomimicry type of way in terms of how do sustaining systems actually function? Because again, we're creating human constructs here, right?
It's a good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Nature knows how to do this. So
Maybe instead of maximum extractions, we can use like, uh, abundant extraction where like we know we have it just enough and maybe a little bit more so we can invite guests or for preparing for a drought or whatever it is, um yeah, that's a good point. We need to be also mindful of our words and seeing how that all interplays.
because I would just say within the context of this notion of resource overshoot, we know, Earth overshoot day. We know we are extracting far more than the Earth can
Mhm.
produce, in a
Mhm.
year. And so whatever we're doing, we need to get back to within the planetary boundaries, and
Yeah,
we need to function within those planetary boundaries. And that's why I say, yeah, we have to be very mindful about this excess.
yeah. I agree. Definitely one of the issues today: excess in
I
hoarding.
like to use the term coherence over efficiency.
Okay.
So what we have is a society that's trying to optimize to get the most out of everything it can, and it's
Mhm.
usually a quantitative issue, right? Where
Yeah.
coherence, and I really need you got to take time to think about what does coherence mean. But if you're in coherence with everything around you, you're sensing vibrational patterns that resonate, they oscillate. It's a feel good or a feel off. And so then you're not just always optimizing and making the most of what you can. You're feeling into the rest of the environment, and decisions are made based on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I think we've got a really unique inflection point right now, this decade, and that is stellar technology enables us to move beyond extraction for the first time in 6,000 years. And what I mean by that is abundant solar, as defined in the Stellar Book, abundant food and abundant labor for communities enables us to build communities of 50 to 300 people that have abundance within the community. And decentralizing is a solution to the polycrisis we presently face.
Yep.
So, Brian, I'm curious, how do we correlate that with the fact that we don't have anywhere near enough in terms of where we're going as a society? Solar can never make enough. So then we're in this issue of, not being able to produce enough solar to do all these micro communities.
I appreciate the concern, Vic. Let me provide just a couple of stats that, in fact, the Earth today collects 8,000 times more energy than all of humanity uses, and more power. And that by using just a 10th of 1% of the solar that comes to us, we can have abundant
So
abundant
you're
energy.
saying solar in general, all the different technologies that can capture it, not just solar
Yes.
panels.
Oh, yeah. For example, we've got roll-to-roll solar here in Australia that produces photovoltaics for the price of newsprint. I mean, literally, newspapers running off the line. That's what we're looking at, less than a penny per kilowatt hour within 10 years. And so that's what I think we need to design for, because let's face it, none of our communities may get fully implemented in less than 5 years. So we might as well have a 10-year cost horizon. And the fact that batteries are going to drop by 80% to just $10 a kilowatt hour within 10 years, and that solar is going to drop another 70%. And we're going to be below a penny per kilowatt hour. That's the reality. And the abundance, I mean, you can actually produce 500 gigawatt hours or 500 gigawatts of solar. Right now, China's doing it. And in 1 month, they installed 93 gigawatts. That's a gigawatt coal power plant every 8 hours for the entire month of May. That's how much they put in. So we can catch up, hopefully, and buy Chinese solar in the meantime. Anyway, we're excited.
Yeah. Energy is definitely one of these. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay. So we're going to transition to the next.
Can I just jump in on real quick what Dr.
Yes,
Brian just said? Because I think that's
please.
brilliant. But the problem is the nature of our economics makes that application not happen. In other words, we have enormous benefit of efficiency in our innovation over the last 50 years that is not translating into mass distribution at cost and stuff like that. What we continue to price discriminate. We continue to profit seek. And as a result, a lot of these technologies, which could be utilized broadly and solve lots of problems and benefit most people, are not, because we discriminate. We only provide the best of everything to people who could pay the most, and deny everyone else, by producing some degraded version that's supposed to be good enough for them. I mean, so in other words, I see what you're saying. I hear you're saying, but how do we break the pattern of this toxic economics?
I think we do it by community currency. In other words, we're anticipating bringing people into our community who may have dropped out of their mortgages in the suburban area because it's such a squeeze on the middle class. And we are encouraging a rural restart. Like you said, there's plenty of place on the planet. And nowadays we got Starlink, so we got internet everywhere, and we can have food abundance everywhere. And so we're going to be able to enable a rural restart for people that with a small stellar seed, we can have a model for abundant energy, food, and labor that costs just a few $1,000s. I mean, it's a hell of a lot less than payments on your mortgage. And with a community currency, there'll be an exchange mechanism within the community. And that's why we're researching with the Regen Currency Foundation right now.
Nice. Yeah. And with white collar jobs disappearing and blue collar jobs being, the predominant, let's say, channel of what needs to be done, everyone's going to have to learn how to do the physical stuff that keeps the places running. And now we have a little microeconomy within the place as well.
I agree.
All right, so now I want to go to the other end of the spectrum from kind of the theoretical values and principles topics that got us flowing. And I want to put you guys on into your like physical desire mindset, right? Kind of building on the first thought experiment we did of like you wave a magic wand, what does your built environment look like? Now we're going to drill down a little more. I want you to think about amenities. What built amenity infrastructure is important for you in a regenerative neighborhood? Get creative on this one, right? We're talking amenities here. Anything from an art space to a dance studio to a tattoo parlor to an ice cream shop. I'd love to hear from you guys because we also want to make a rich amenity list for our future blueprint that we'll be working on. I'm going to give 2 minutes. This is going to be a quick one. Again, let's go up-tempo funk music. I'm going to hit this. Oh. I'm going to stop it in 2 minutes. So start dropping in dream amenities, you guys. Whatever you can think of a place that you would love to have where you live, put it. As an example, I'm going to put a zip line. Love a zip line where I live.
What a dirty. Please.
20 seconds, you guys, 20 seconds. Wow, a grunge underground bunker for raves. Whoever put that, yes, let's
That's
live
fun.
together. Let's live together. Red light only. Very cool, very cool. I am with my people on this call. I knew it. All right. So that's up. Someone's clicked on the main box. If you can click off, because okay, yeah. And then a music studio. I'm adding music studio. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna read some fun ones off. Playgrounds, gardens, make this open source. Solar powered off-grid server. Yes. Grunge underground bunker for raves. Definitely. Movement hut. Yes. Acro and flow. Absolutely. Body first. Drones for agriculture. Yeah. We slow down water, spread it out, and let it sink in. Yes, we got to do swales everywhere. Communal cooking spaces. Precision fermentation for abundant proteins. Yep. Marine permaculture offshore. Shared robotaxis.
Oh, sorry. I don't know.
All good. What did you say?
No, I was just laughing at what I thought to put down.
Oh, okay. I put zip line, a sauna, a steam bath, a wave pool, megalithic tents. Beautiful. All right, cool. So this is an amenities list, right? Again, we're talking hardware on this call. I decided to go more the creative route on this call where we all get to share some stories about things. I had a next question in here that was, describe a dream, a place that you've seen that really does the hardware and the thing successfully. I'm going to just leave a couple of minutes for Dr. Brian to share something that he shared with us on the breakout group, which I thought was super beautiful. Dr. Brian, I'd love for you to share that in the next couple of minutes. If anyone needs to take a little bathroom break or something, by all means, this would be the 1 minute stretch break. Stretch. Dr. Brian, I'd love to leave this moment for you to describe the place where you're currently living and explain that to us and how it is.
Sure thing. I am living in the hinterlands of the Sunshine Coast of Queensland, Australia, and I'm part of this community called Woodfordia. It has a 41-year history and a 500-year plan. It was founded by Bill Horitz, who 41 years ago built a Mulaney folk festival that turned into the biggest folk festival in the Southern Hemisphere. But his inspiration, according to Tony Burke, was actually to build a community, not a festival. And the community meets year round. We have tree huggers that meet every month. We have citizens and members. And what's amazing is they've built this food forest out of cow pasture. We've planted 130,000 trees. Bill died last month, but last night we celebrated his life with a send-off that was just amazing. We got on top of a hill, we planted a bunya tree at night, and the stars were out and it was warm. And Bill's ashes were in these fireworks that went up. Just huge. And so we built the water recycling system. We built 12 million liters Lake Gula, which you can look up, and it's the biggest swimming lake in the Southern Hemisphere. It has inside of it a 380 million year old lungfish. Actually, I had three of them, and I went snorkeling 2 weeks ago, and the fish has grown to 4 feet long. It's like this giant catfish. It's got dozens of catfish, and we've got a healthy ecosystem. And now the lake has become this center every in the daytime people go swimming, and so there's water systems, there's wastewater, we're designing a solar and battery system, and 33,600 volunteers every year come together with an organizational mandala that has hundreds of department leads, 3,600 volunteers, and tens of thousands of participants every year. Every year in May, we do the planting. Between Christmas and New Year's, we have 6 days of festival, and there's more than 100,000 visitor days that people come from all over Australia and internationally, and we have folk music. And so it's the folklore of this community is profound. And I just experienced a lot of it last night with this celebration of Bill's life. So we're hoping to pay it forward. We're hoping to build abundance right here on the hinterlands of the Sunshine Coast and use this as a prototype for stellar communities that we can bring the world over with abundant energy, food, and labor. And that's my inspiration. And the Amanda, who now is the executive director of the festival, she planted all these trees that are here in our acre of food forest. We've got guavas about to burst right behind me. We've got macadamia nuts and limes and just flowers 12 months a year. So I feel very blessed to be here, and I'm hoping we can pay it forward. I gotta say, Bill was one of the most generous people I ever met. And in fact, Bob Hawke, the ex-Prime Minister of Australia, said, "You won't find a more generous Australian." And I just really, it was great to see that yesterday. And I think that spirit of generosity is something I felt from Burning Man to Woodfordia, and generosity and giving, and through abundance, we can be generous. And I'll tell you, the epiphany for me was reading the Stellar book, which I put the link in. And I've been feeling scarcity for half a decade with the poly crisis, with all these problems. And I realized that if we have decentralized abundance, we can flip it around till we've got more energy, food, and labor than we know what to do with. And with that abundant mindset, everything changes. Everything changes because people who come to us, suddenly we've got enough to give. And, once we build a stellar community, the job of that stellar community should be to use that abundance to sponsor the next stellar community and pay it forward, which may be 10,000 kilometers away.
Sure.
So that's what we'd love to foster.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Dr. Brian. It's like, maybe a question here. How many of you here have lived in a community, that exemplifies one or multiple of the things that you are looking for or connect with? Maybe raise your hands on camera. I can see you all here. Okay, cool. Nice. Okay, so you've seen this, and so it's nice to hear that story, Dr. Brian, because I think we're a unique crowd where it's a much higher density of hand raised for that than I'm used to seeing. But in general, most people can't even imagine what that is like. And all of that starts with first knowing it's possible. Secondly, having this knowledge base of how we can execute that. And that brings us to the next piece, which I'm going to share my screen again for people watching the video. Now we're going to get a little more into the technical side of this, right? So this call, we've now done a bunch of creative stuff where we've shared concepts about our dream place, how that can happen, even specific amenities that we would want. We even heard a story now from Dr. Brian of a place that is doing components of that in beautiful ways. So this call is hardware, the built environment. This is the container that will hold all of us living this best life that we can imagine. We're going to kick this off with the topic of master planning. We're going to ask some questions here of why it's important to master plan, what are some metrics of success, and what are examples of master planning that you've seen. Before we get into the answers there, I want you to look at the rest of the sections, which include key components we've already outlined. Housing solutions, water solutions, food, energy, air, waste. These are the core components of what goes into a master plan from the question I asked there. As well, we are going to discuss building, manufacturing, and transportation. It's a lot of stuff. My best goal for the next 30 minutes that we have on the call is that we can each ask at least one pertinent question about each of these topics. We're all going to do the master planning section together, and then I'm going to leave some time where we can go into asking questions. One example of this is over here, I've already put a question that was asked in the chat. It was asked by Thomas. He asked, I'm interested in what can we do to have agriculture without diesel fuel? So which hardware is needed for that? What would we create our own biofuel? Which tractors can work with that, etc. So that's a question he had for food production. Any questions that you have for any of these topics? We're going to leave some time for you to jump in there and ask important questions that hopefully our LLM will be able to answer once we start uploading a lot of the content into it. First, we're going to jump into master planning, right? Master planning. The summary we have of it is the overarching design and layout of the neighborhood, integrating all systems for holistic, adaptive, spatial organization that enhances community flow and environmental regeneration. Does anyone have a way of describing master planning maybe they have experience with or that they've seen in the past? Maybe like how you would describe it to your 7-year-old cousin or to your grandmother, you know, a very easy way to digest for others. Any takers on this one?
I would describe it as a system architecture where you're meeting all the constraints of community in ways that are effective and perhaps egalitarian and enable the goals to be met.
Sure. I agree. Anyone else? Anyone else with like interesting description of what a master plan is? Because this is where we're going to start our, kind of technical dive.
Kevin's hands up.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Kevin. Sorry, well, I'm like,
oh, okay, unintentional.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, unintentional. No.
I'll throw in one, Vic, here. I recently laid out a plan for a house in Costa Rica for myself as a part of a startup community.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned about Dr. Karim, who's an Egyptian architect. And he started studying not just the physical structure, but the energetic aspect of the structure. So what they did in designing my house, they started with the land and not the soil, but the energy, the physical electromagnetic field energy of the land. And then it worked their way in toward the building and what the material needed to be and how it would be laid out with the soil, all that stuff that we do anyway. But it dramatically changed the performance and the integration with Gaia. So that's a new one, and I think it's worth really looking deeply into.
Okay, right. The energetics of a place. Yeah, I my mind first goes to like feng shui in a way. This like concept of understanding there's a thread that unites everything. You know, the force in Star Wars.
And that's important too. This goes back. It's actually ancient. I mean, every major sacred temple is on an energy point. So think of it that way. they knew something. That wasn't just like by accident. They knew something, and they were drawing in that energy from the cosmos because their greatest temples were on those points.
Right. Yeah.
As,
So
as
awareness
a
of
part of
energy.
their communities, right? They were within community.
Sure, sure. And so this is going to open up the first question, which I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes, or let's go 2 minutes. Why is it important to master plan, right? Vic, yours is to understand the energetics of a physical location. My mind first went, as I'm staring here at a property that we're designing a permaculture design for, is to understand how the water flows on a property, to understand how the sun travels from east to west and how it hits, where the shadows hit, etc. I'd like everyone to share in here why they think it's important to master plan a property. I'm going to set a timer here for 2 minutes. Boom. Okay, that's running. Go ahead, guys. Yeah, your thoughts on why it's important to master plan. All right, 30 seconds, you guys. 30 seconds. All right, time's up, you guys. Did anyone see one on the board? You know, I also invite you guys to, if you see one that you really connect with, feel free to leave a little reaction to it. You can, click the little face and add a reaction. Like, I'm going to laugh at this one that says to embody our SimCity skills. So why it's important to master plan? Anyone, anything that they feel extra strong about that they'd love to share a little bit? I'm leaving more time on these calls to give everyone a little window to share something they're excited about or really connect with, or maybe read for the first time and want to know more about.
Last month, I interviewed Judy, the co-founder of Village Homes in Davis, and she said, and she did her thesis before the Village Homes, that community grows when we have a place to gather and a reason to gather. And by master planning, we can create the place together.
Yep. Right, designing that place together. Yeah, important. You know, I put like in a very practical sense, a master plan is a critical step for us as consultants, land projects we've worked with. Having a really, even if it's not totally finished master plan, it helps take your idea out of your head and onto a paper that can create a lot of buy-in with people that are potentially aligned to become a part of your project as potential community members. Yeah, so agree with that. Yeah, definitely. Anyone else? Something before we jump to the next one? See if any hands are up. No. Okay. All right, cool. All right, and so remember, you guys feel free, you can spread out to the other cards as like things go. You can go back. Another one that I want to share is metrics of success. We're running a little short on time because we've been sharing a lot. A little shortcut answer, maybe we missed some. I would love for you guys to add anything. My metrics of success is that housing solutions, water solutions, food, energy, air, waste are all outlined on the master plan. So those are the key components for me that need to be included in a master plan. In addition to that, I'm going to add a card. Maybe I'll leave 1 minute for this if anyone can think of any extra things. One thing should be roads. Roads should definitely be on a master plan, as well as walking paths. If you can think of anything else, I invite you to add it here in this 1 minute little window. Walking paths that you feel is very important to add. Also, sculptures, art. It's critical to have beautiful things to look at. Aesthetics, as we work our way through Maslow's hierarchy, is one of these really important topics that humans need to thrive on. Beauty, aesthetics. So art, installations, monuments, things like this. So aside from the core components, which are the next, gaggle of things that we'll be discussing in the next 15 minutes, anything else you can think of that would be important to share? Kilowatts per person, yes. Fresh calories per person, yeah. Internet latency, sure, yeah. Internet, right? Cool, yeah. Feel free to keep dropping stuff. Anything else? Oh, someone moved it. Undo. I got it. All good. Machines that are easy to repair. Yeah, cool. Yeah. This open source ecology.org page is so good, Theodora. Thank you for sharing that, Theodora. Blueprints for all kinds of things, from tractors to grinding machines. Super cool for, definitely one of the websites I would save on my hard drive in case the internet goes out. I would definitely want to save that and have it for my local LLM to process.
Yeah.
Have you used it before for anything? Like any designs you have in mind that you've been like ready to build?
Never used a tractor. Like I never had a place to use a tractor, but I always wanted to be able to do one of those things. That's why when I'm gonna go off grid soon, I would like to propose this to the people in charge. Maybe they want to try it out.
Sure. One of the beautiful things in community is we're all in charge. You'll probably, if you're passionate about it, by all means, be the lead for it, and you'll get some buy-in more than likely.
The thing with these machines is that you can do them in 6 days max, and these using very simple material, so anybody can just do it.
Yeah. They're very good templates. It's definitely one of the key links that we want. Dr. Brian, also you mentioned someone's project, something about structures. I'd love for you to just drop that link somewhere on the page. We'll be able to run the image and extract all links and then sort them out later on. So awesome. If anyone has links in mind, we'll be adding them. The next call will be a more tangible focus on taking links, putting them into the right sections, which is what we're going to explore now. The sections, right? Housing solutions, water solutions, food, energy, air. Next call will also be on hardware, and we will be everyone will have homework to go into your bookmarks, go into your WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups, and pull out any interesting projects or links or PDFs that you know of, and bring them to the next call. Or if on your free time, you can come in and start dropping them. I've created space down here. I'm going to make more of these boxes, solutions that you know of. For now, I want to do it a little more like storytelling. What are some ideal housing solutions that you know of? You mentioned this guy's design, Eric, I forgot the name you said, but the guy that builds with everything matching the contours, and he has really beautiful buildings in places. For me, one of the most awesome things I've seen housing solutions wise is geodesic domes, and the ease to build a giant structure of any scale, big or small, and how unique you can make it on your own. So geodesic domes is one for me. If anyone has any ideas there for housing, geodesic domes. And so that's going to leave us about 10 minutes. In the following 10 minutes, my goal with everyone is to think about at least one question you have for one or multiple of these topics. Something you've always wondered about water solutions, something you've always wondered about food, permaculture, agroforestry solutions, something you've wondered for energy solutions, like what you asked, Thomas, about agriculture without any kind of fuel. Potentially it looks like using animals instead of machinery. And
yes, but then we're in the
growing
Middle
enough
Ages, right?
food. That's Middle Ages. Batteries, as batteries get more efficient, we'll be able to harvest enough energy, charge batteries, and run battery powered machinery. Is
Hey,
the first one I can think of.
H930 at the lake house.
Say that again, Dr.
Oh,
Brian?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity with battery, wind, and solar to produce mostly electrified food production. In fact, we're designing FarmBot 2.0 that embraces the open source FarmBot, but enables 10 feet wide and 300 feet long gantry that can actually provide agrivoltaics, but also areas for planting. And this FarmBot system can seed and weed and water and photograph on a daily basis the growth of the plants.
All right, right. Yeah, and what about these new hydrogen-powered cars that Toyota's like pumping out now and are usable, right? We can just put water in these things at some point. And
Well, I'm
that
glad you mentioned hydrogen because read George Monbiot, Regenesis, because he talks about hydrogen oxidizing bacteria that in a beer vat can grow replete protein from hydrogen as the energy source, the only energy source. It's a chemoautotrophic bacteria that produces protein from just nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and phosphorus, and produces replete protein like scrambled eggs or other kinds of protein. That's just amazing. And so it's a revolution happening now. The cost of precision protein was $100 in 2020. Last year it was $10 a kilo. And by 2030, it's going to be $1 a kilo, which puts it on
sure.
parity with livestock.
Yeah. Wow, exponential reduction
By
in
the way,
price.
it uses 70 times less land area than the present pasture land and farmlands. When we have this replete protein, we'll be able to rewild most of the pasture lands and farmlands on our planet.
Sure. Yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
anything related to a beer vat, count me in.
All right. We're heading out that direction.
Anything related to not eating meat anymore, I'm in.
Yeah, it's vegan protein.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's lovely. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I encourage you guys to put on your thinking hats, in the sense of questions that you have. Half of the journey of this is the data is out there. It's asking the right questions that we can now start using to test this LLM that we are working on Thursday calls. So I invite you guys all to think about housing, water, food, energy, air, and waste. I have a waste one here I want to ask.
Has anyone heard of the rust battery? Using iron oxide to store energy?
Yeah, iron air is one of several really good approaches, and they're primary batteries and rechargeable batteries, and it's very affordable. I'd also like to mention sodium iron phosphate, which looks like it's going to replace lithium iron phosphate in the next 10 years. There's a company in Montana working on sodium iron phosphate. It should be around $10 a kilowatt hour within 10 years.
Yeah, there's so many amazing energy technologies coming out. It's so fun. That one in UK, have you guys heard of Thunderstorm? Plasma-based energy. So now
Oh,
they're moving
yeah.
into plasma, and I'm hot on that one. Next, second to the beer vat thing, but
Yeah, it's they extract plasma from thunder and lightning during a storm, I believe, isn't it? Some kind of like
no, he's actually using sacred geometric configurations of shells, and they're putting simple gases into it, and it's self-generating. So it's a plus one engine as far as they're it's against the laws of physics. So I'm just saying that they're getting numbers that don't make sense.
have you seen the Liberty engine?
Heard of it. I saw a video on it. Similar idea.
Yes, yeah. I was always thinking like if those magnets, if they somehow got out of position just the wrong way, they like shoot off like a bullet.
It
They
wouldn't be pretty. It
explode.
wouldn't be pretty. No.
No, it would be horrifying explosion. It's like the same idea of using like natural gas, like propane on a zero turn. You know, you've got like this bomb underneath you the whole time with propane that could like explode somehow, but I don't know. It's like some things are a little riskier than others.
Gotcha. All right, guys. As we're chatting, also add questions because I am really seeking more thoughts from everyone on, like, example for manufacturing. I just asked, like, what are the key things we need to manufacture for a self-sufficient community? Maybe you
We
guys
need a
can
3D printer and we need robots.
Yeah, robots. Yeah. Robots will be the
But
key determinant of the next
a
20
3D
years.
printer, a 3D printer will probably enable us to build robots.
Yeah, in fact, it's the reason micro communities will be able to self-technologize themselves. The 3D printer thing is just transformative for small communities.
What do you
Exciting.
guys what do you think of like asteroids like Psyche 16 that have like 100 or 10,000 quadrillion dollars worth of metal iron? Like
Hmm.
it's like
We'll
it
eventually be mining them.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, iron's in abundance, but a gold asteroid or a
it'd
platinum
be nuts.
asteroid,
It'd be
that would
crazy.
distort what we have. On the
It
other
would
hand, those are just symbols for money, and money is ironically
well
the thing that's most in abundance. What we
Yeah,
need
well
is
yeah,
real wealth.
that is very true. We have quite a bit of it, don't we? We need to get rid of a lot of it. Um or spend it right, I guess. Uh But yeah, I mean that idea of like if you could get to an asteroid that had like palladium on it in massive amounts or gold or titanium, I mean it would be or helium-3, it would be completely different. Like it's almost illogical not to go for that route immediately, like survey all that like cheaply and then really make an executive decision of like hopefully we would find something. And that would be like
Yeah, I think we have like pretty future materials here already. Like graphene is epic. I think graphene batteries. I'm
yeah,
surprised it's taken so long for it to catch. One molecule thick levels of carbon. That, like, graphite is less organized. Graphene is, when
that,
coiled correctly, could probably store all the energy we'll ever need for
like
most things.
that's something we would need in order to get to something like that to like it would eliminate a lot of resource wars.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but like how deep is our effect of like going on that cosmological path?
I'm one that, like, I think the solution to, like, abundance actually lives in human systems, which Vic, it took everything I had in discussions with Sonia to not do human systems before hardware. Like you, like we kind of suggested on the call we had on Thursday. Um, it feels a lot these days like, all the things we need are there. It's just a matter of some people benefit from scarcity, and this is why scarcity prevails over abundance, and that's frustrating because it's just some people hoarding in some ways. We're going to dive into all of that on the human systems calls more. But for now, we're going through the thought experiment of how do we continue to create systems that are more effective, because all that technology is definitely out there. It's just up to us to bring it to the table. And I'm now going to use this moment to remind everyone of their homework. You guys, in the last 3 minutes of this call, our homework this week is to gather all of the links, projects, and resources that we know of for this technology that exists, whether it's theoretical, pilot stage, prototype stage, or actually scalable stage, and bring it to the table for next week's call. We're going to be creating spaces underneath each one of these sections in the row for call 6, where we will be dropping all of the links. I'm motivated by Dr. Brian's, like, successful extraction of the data. We're going to be organizing the frames over the next week, Sonia and I, so that when we extract the PDF on the next iteration, it's a little easier to follow for the LLM, ideally. So it has a little more of like sequence in the order that we've been going. And having all of these links is going to be great. At the end, I realized of that document, there was also just like a table of, not a table of content, but like an appendix with, here are all the links. So that was super cool. I'm excited for people to just come in next call, super hot with all of the links that you have for solutions for any of these projects. All right. Any more questions anyone has for any of these? I'd love for you guys to keep adding them. I want to leave off with the last question here, which is, what would be your number one priority in the hardware category if resources were limited? You know, in the sense of, we only have this much money at this phase to build this thing first. What would you choose and why? I know it's a hard one because you kind of have to plan everything and build everything in some sequence in what most developers say.
A beer vat, number one.
Beer vat number one. All right, drop that in there and get it, Vic. I'm gonna put some stickies here. Yeah, if anyone has some answers for that, I'd love to know.
Yeah, I'd be interested in a tractor, building a tractor that can work without electricity and fuel, or without our own fuel, or with coal. So a coal or biofuel-based tractor, that would be interesting.
What would you imagine if it's not electricity and it's not fuel?
I have some videos I'd like to actually share with you very specifically on that note.
Maybe magnets.
Maybe I can share you a whole playlist.
Or how to do agriculture without fuel and electricity. That's interesting.
I mean, manual labor is out of the question for you, because you know, like
yes, possibly, but then we cannot feed many people, or we need a lot of oxen and horses and so on.
Right. We need a lot of people.
Or have a strong incentive culture that like has a propensity towards gardening, not intensive agricultural production, but it's intensive with the amount, like victory gardens. If everybody's growing food together,
right,
it makes it a lot easier to grow that food.
Sure. You know, this time that we're spending here in Colombia, there's a huge indigenous presence here, the Araucus, and they are like the guardians of this mountain in Santa Marta. And so they have a shared garden in their capital, which is like 2 hours up the mountain from here. And we're currently helping them with a strategy that engages the community to come support the garden more. And one of the biggest gaps that we realize is that most people don't know how to garden. They don't know how to grow their own food. So they're not so open to come, because when you don't know how to do something, you don't want to sit there and just spin your fingers. So having a very clear plan for the garden is the first step in engaging the rest of the community effectively. Just wanted to share that, with that, like planning, having a good plan for things, right? Which brings us back to the beginning of this conversation, which is the master plan. Having a strong master plan really kicks off this journey effectively. We've seen it over and over again with lots of land projects we've worked with, that the ones that had a strong master plan had so much more traction built with new residents, existing residents, because everyone's in on it. Everyone feels like they're in the club. Like you said, Dr. Brian, this man that started this community, that everyone felt like they were on the inside in some way. He made them feel special. I think knowledge does that for people. And having a clear idea of what we're building together makes it everyone's project. Which I'm excited about what these calls are about. All of us contributing our links and tools that we know of and our desires and requests for a dream community. We are all co-creating this framework that will lead to the blueprint of a community. And when we all know we helped create this place, we all take some ownership. And like we were discussing, Theodora, ownership in community is one of the most valuable, I don't know if that's a value or a principle or like ways of being, where we say, oh, I'm passionate about this, so I'm just going to start, even if I don't know how to do it. I'm at least going to ask the right questions, hold a couple of gatherings around the topic to hopefully get some buy-in. And it makes a difference of night and day in how communities develop moving forward.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. All right, you guys. So it's 14:30 now. I want to honor the 1 hour 30-minute window for this calls. If anyone has a hard drop time, totally understand. I want to bring some light here. I'm going to bring everyone to our screen, bring everyone to me. We have a bit of a feedback bubble here. This week, we tried a little bit of a new format for this call. Instead of getting really technical and going in like specific purpose, metrics, process for each of the subcategories, we did more questions and we did a bit more of the imaginative theory based. I'd love to know from you guys what worked, what needs improvement, and what you would like more of as we continue to iterate on these calls to more effectively gather the community, build connection between us, get everyone's thoughts on this framework so that when we build blueprints, depending on what physical location we are able to find land in, we have everyone's thoughts on it and everyone feels like it's their community too. Also, we're starting to share the maybe one of the incentives of being on these calls and inviting others to these calls. Everyone participating in these calls, once these physical locations start getting planned and coming, everyone that's involved with these calls will be in on early booking, early investment, early stewardship, and participatory like containers that we'll be creating for all of these projects. So thank you guys all for being here. We're super grateful for more like-minded humans coming together, meeting each other, connecting on all of these things. I'm going back to the main screen so I can see everyone's lovely faces. With Vic, on Thursday, we also wanted to leave a little bit of homework, right? We all see each other on these calls. And part of the initiative is also going to be to create more connection between each other. I would love each of us to be able to get on at least one call with one other person this week. Even if it's a couple of texts and a short, 1 or 2 minute like check in to see how everybody's doing. Kevin and I already have a call scheduled. Thomas, you and I also have a call scheduled this week, tomorrow actually. So I invite you guys all to maybe in this group. What I didn't do is, Theodora, we have a platform we're using called the Tribes platform. I'm gonna share. Okay. I'm gonna share the link here. Tribes platform.app. It's here in the window. I would love for you to create a profile in there and join the Masterminding Eden group. This is where we're all connected. Fill in info on your profile so everyone can get to know you a little bit more. And from there, I invite you guys all to message someone new and check in. Tell them this is homework from the calls. This is part of our connection with the community as we start building this authentic feel towards what we're building towards, right? We're talking about hardware, and that's the container for the gold in the middle. And the gold is the human connection we're all building between each other. This is what the world needs more of. Yeah, definitely. And super happy to see all of you guys again. You guys are becoming, I think, the people I speak with the most with throughout the week, which is lovely.
Hey, I'll throw one thing in on the relational thing. Spot on. Good. I'm glad it's about the relationship, and that'll do it. Some of us are going to be a little afraid to do, we're going to have to get back past our fear of, but they might not like me. Just go close your eyes and point to somebody and grab it. But the other thing is on the map, on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
We should put our name with everything that we say so that the AI engine correlates the information with a person.
I
That's
agree.
relational.
I agree.
So then when I go searching for stuff, the idea comes up, but Joe Blow also comes up with it, whatever.
Sure. Like I imagine
Then I
there's
can connect with
metadata on a lot of these things. I'm pretty sure because I've seen that it says like include person's name with the post or don't. I'm sure there's metadata. What I'm sad about is some people's usernames are like visiting visionary instead of an actual name.
Good point. It might be in the meta. Yeah.
Yeah. What I need to understand is how to pull that information. Because like
Why don't you reach
I
out
see
to
it.
them real time or whatever their name is now?
Sure, that would be really cool if you could like see who did it, and then based on that, go to the Tribes platform or whatever group chat we're all in, and be like, "Oh, hey, I saw you posted this. I agree with that deeply." And you can see it if you right click on a thing, like you can write or you can see a thing on the little like information bar. Like, I'm going to share my screen real quick so you can see that. So I just saw how you can do it.
Oh, okay.
Like this one right here. Like, what is the update on graphene? You can click these three dots in this little navigation bar and see info. And on info, you can see who it was created by and who it was last modified by.
Well, we need it for the engine though, but it must be in
Right.
there. Yeah.
Right. The engine won't be able to do that piece. So work in progress. We definitely need to see that. It would be nice if everyone, when you make a card, at the bottom, you put your name. Yeah, I'm using Sonia's account, so that's why it said Sonia, but that was my question. In case anyone's interested in graphene, I started a Reddit channel for it. It's like the lead graphene Reddit. It's DIY graphene, in case you want to learn how to make graphene. Could be a community business. All right, you guys, any closing thoughts? I'd love to hear from anyone else that would like to share anything. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Any reflections? Theodora, for you, I'd love to hear from you as it was your first call. Anything that is unclear or that you know?
Yeah, I'm actually interested in how to survive with Middle Ages plus X. And what is the X? So we have no fuel and no electricity from the grid, just our own electricity. How can we survive better than in the Middle Ages? That's my general interest.
Okay. Surviving without energy sources.
That's a good one.
Interesting.
That's
That's
a
a
big
good one.
It's coming.
Would you say that the Amish are living the utopian middle age lifestyle in America?
Yeah, definitely.
It's not necessarily utopian, right?
But yeah, no such thing. Everybody hates that word.
Like their population is growing faster than the US overall. So they're definitely living, if you can use that as a metric of success, then I would say yes.
For example, the Amish created a charcoal-based tractor. I've seen that.
Well, there's your answer.
So,
they know.
Like a steam engine with wheels on wheels. Very simple, but it works very robustly.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Theodora, stage is yours. I'd love to hear some feedback from you as a first timer on the call.
Am I the only first timer? Ooh,
Yep.
a lot of attention. But yeah, this. I got swept right off my feet as soon as I got into this call. We got straight into the bread. But it was super fun for me. Like it's very interactive. I got to even talk to some people, and yeah, I think this is gonna be my tribe for sure.
Okay, cool. That's great feedback.
Yeah.
Where are you joining us from?
Right now I'm located in the Netherlands, but soon I'll move to Portugal.
Okay, nice.
I got to know about this place through this person called Anthony Ryan. That is the greenpreneur of Purpose Flow, which is a community project for regeneration of soil in Portugal. And I talked to them that I can help them with some systems, like the software part, at least the digital infrastructure. And they just told me about this place, and they're like, you know what, you can just join the Thursday and Saturday meetings. So I was like, yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, thank you for joining. It's nice to meet you.
Super inspiring.
Isn't traditional Dream Factory in Portugal?
Traditional what?
Traditional Dream Factory?
That's a different community. What's the name of this community you said, Theodora?
Purpose Flow. I'm gonna write it in the
Cool. Drop a link if you have a link to it on the Miro board. That'd be great.
Yeah,
Oh, on
actually
the
went
mirror
to
board. Yeah,
together
okay.
together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I really like the project. But traditional dream factory, I can post the link. What Eric is mentioning is a great project. It's like pretty much right up your alley, which is like tech, hippie, intersection. Very, very cool. I never visited, but I hear about it all over the world from people that did visit. Oscar was there for some time, and it's a really great project. It's like 2 hours away from Lisbon, I think.
Sick.
So Vitaly, I see your request. Are you on the Regen Tribe? Are you in the Regen Tribe Telegram? I'm gonna drop that file in there. The export that we did on the Thursday call.
Yes, we had done that with Thomas last time. Thomas and Brian were together to do that. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Hold on.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Vitaly as well because I don't see you on the Telegram chat. I wanted to message you privately because I see you requested to join my team on Miro. As mentioned in the chat, I don't really want to add you because it's like $100 per person. I'm happy to give you my credentials if there's something that you want to do that cannot really be done with the access that everybody else has. So just message me privately and we can discuss. I don't know if Vitaly is here. I don't see you and I don't hear you, but if you do hear us,
Oh, okay.
message me.
Yeah, because he asked for the latest extract of the PDF board. Right? He says, would appreciate the export of the board sent as a file on Tribe's platform or Telegram so he can experiment with. So I think he's requesting the extract
You cannot
of the Miro
extract
board.
information with the collaborator link. I thought that's an option that's available to everybody that's there.
Yeah, you guys as collaborators, do you see the option to like click these three dots up here and do a board? How do you do it? Export, save as PDF. Can someone try that real quick and see what it does for them?
Should I just share a link to the Telegram in the chat?
Yeah.
I just did.
To the Regen Tribe one.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Telegram chat here. Okay, so yeah, can someone do that real quick? I'm gonna share my screen so you can see.
I believe they
Like-
shared it. Yes.
Okay, because like if you guys go here, you see my board right here. If you click these three dots, then you can go to board and then here to export. And then in export, you can save as a PDF. And it'll give you like the vector option, which is I think what we need so that the LLM can zoom in and out effectively and see all the text, and then export. It takes like 7 minutes to export it because it breaks it down into a bunch of frames, which we're going to clean up the frames in the coming days. But Vitaly, I will drop that PDF in the Masterminding Eden group so that you see it in there as well. Which actually I would like to share my screen so you guys can see how that works. Everyone, I know you guys already have seen that. You guys have seen the Theodora. This is the Tribes platform. I'm going to do a little tour. I skipped that thing at the beginning. I usually do that at the beginning of the call.
Oh, I see what's happening. I think anytime you guys want to export something as collaborators on the board, it sends me a request to join the team. So, okay, yeah.
So they can. So I'll have to export it. Okay, so in case anyone wants that export, I'm going to put it here in a very public place. I'm sharing my screen so you can see. This is Tribes platform. These are all the groups that are here. We have a Masterminding Eden group, which is here.
Wow.
Our collective Regen Tribe started this platform to map neighborhoods around the world that are working with regenerative principles, connect people. We have 1,300 users at the moment, people looking for communities, living in communities, building communities, or providing services to communities. We make groups for certain organizations that are super aligned, like Masterminding Eden. And here, everything has a documents section. So I'm going to upload the most recent PDF extraction. I'm going to go here. Each one of the groups that you saw in there, those categories, has all of the subgroups in the Tribes platform where you can have conversations about the topics publicly and host things. All right, so let me add this file. This was the most recent one. I think it's this one. Yeah, that's it. 93 megabytes. Extract of the Miro board from January. I think we did this 29th. We'll make a new update soon. Okay, so Vitaly, it's here. If anyone is in touch with him or if you're listening, I've uploaded a Miro board from regenerative neighborhood framework calls, generate, boom. Okay, so that's uploaded now. You can pull that. If anyone's good with LLMs, like Dr. Brian did an amazing job with Abacus. He dropped this PDF, gave it a good prompt, and it returned a Google Doc, which actually we should put that link in here. Let's see, where did you share that link with us, Dr. Brian? Do you have that link handy, Dr. Brian? Maybe we can drop it in here as like the most
I
recent
think
update.
you left, actually, unfortunately.
Ooh, okay. Let's see. I think it's this one, isn't it? No. Yeah, this is it. I have it actually. Perfect. Okay, share. Let me share this. So this is the most recent. For anyone curious that would like to see it, let me link copied. For anyone that would like to see it, this is the extract from the PDF that we were able to pull of the Miro board into a Google Doc that Claude Code read the PDF, the image, extracted it, and as you can see here, it like organized it really, really intelligently based on like the ecosystem calls that we did, broke it down into like subsections, and then broke it into the resources, even left blanks for hardware deep dive to be completed after call 5 and 6, humans after 7 and 8. So really intelligently broke everything down. I'm putting a link of this also on the board here, on the Masterminding Eden group. So we can all be kind of on the same page with all the resources. And we're using the Tribes platform as our like active bulletin board to hold things beyond the calls. Most recent processing of the Miro board by Dr. Brian using Claude Code and Abacus. Okay, here's the link. All right.
Can you also share it here in the chat?
Yeah,
The
I'll
Zoom
share the
chat?
link in the chat as well. Yeah. I'll put it
Thanks.
here real quick. Yeah, so that's the most recent link for the processing of the PDF and image. Or you mentioned you work with software and things, that you wanted to support this place with software. What's your
Yeah,
magic?
I just finished my bachelor in AI, and
Oh, cool.
and maybe I can do something that is not actively destroying the world.
Cool. Yeah. You know, so on this Saturday call, we do like the community meeting, theoretical discussion, and gathering resources. And on Thursday at this same time, 3 p.m. EST, which is about 9 p.m. I imagine your time, or 10, we are doing the LLM processing of all of this data. We are taking the data out of the Miro board, extracting it as PDFs, running it through different prompts, starting to massage the data. In the long run, our goal is to make a smart dynamic documentation that'll have like an AI bot that people can ask questions and use as a consultant to design their blueprint wherever they are with whatever specifications they want to add in their prompt. I'm building a community for 35 people in the mountains with this level of rain. How can I build a community? And ideally, this framework documentation will be the data source for guiding users to build their custom blueprints for their regenerative neighborhood. This is the goal of these calls in the big picture.
This is the dream. I'm actually thinking, I'm wondering if you use RAG systems for LLMs to actually gain more insight into personal company documentation, because that's what RAG systems do. They're generators, but like they compound on LLMs, but specifically on your data. So like every company has their own. but like
right.
in general, in corporate environments. But like this would be like an adaptive system that can also probably have this for each village, for each eco community. And they can also
Right.
upload their own documentation.
Ideally, right, in the biggest picture, this is like the baseline, and then every community, as they start creating their own data, somehow uploads it, and now is like maybe you can call it a branch of that data to keep up, improving the data set. But yeah, if you're cool. I would love for you to join the Thursday calls if you're interested. We could definitely use a bit more AI brain in there.
For sure. I'm gonna keep coming to this
cool.
meeting.
All right, guys. Well, happy Saturday. Enjoy your weekends. Thank you for participating. Thomas, we have a call for tomorrow. And Kevin, let's schedule something. I'm excited to chat with you. I'm open tomorrow as well, or maybe in like an hour or two from now, I'm going to eat a little bit. If you're on the same time zone as here, we can do in an hour, so like 2 hours if you're up for that, or tomorrow. Yeah, and Vic, thank you for the inspo on more human connection.
Oscar, I will definitely reach out. Thanks so much. Thank you, everyone.
Cool. We'll talk soon, you guys.
Theodora, I would like to connect with you, so I'm just saying that out loud around AI engines.
We can all connect together. I actually have my own.
I just sent you my email in the chat. So
okay.
Send me something back and we'll make something happen.
For sure. I'm all for this. I'm so happy. Yeah. The dream is to co-create what we all dream collectively at, right? So
yeah. All right, see you all later. I'm hanging up.
Y'all take care. Be well.
Ciao, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Nice meeting you.
As well.
Yeah, thank you for staying up so late, Thomas.
Legend.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We'll have our talk tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Directly at the beginning of the time frame you said, right?
Say again?
Directly at the beginning, yeah. What you said the earliest time.
Yeah, 11 is good for you.
Yeah. Okay, and directly at the 11. Yeah.
Okay, 11 my time. Yeah. That's what you're like 6 hours different than us.
Yes, exactly. I'm 6 hours ahead.
Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, 11 my time. We'll schedule.
Yeah, and you sent a Zoom link, right? Or should we use mine?
Yeah, just feel free to send me a message and we'll get on a call, or we can record it. Whatever's good for you.
Yeah. Then send me which Zoom link to use.
Okay, cool.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Tom. We'll talk tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.